As we continue on our 9 first warning weather alert day. I'll take you on a couple other camera spots, and as we look at it here at the moment, looking for sales, there's some pretty good snow around the area there, and over to Western Hills you'll see. Now to give you the whole forecast, here's Mark Stitz.
Yeah, we know we have one thing on the mind, and that is how much snow is going to be on the ground. So let's get straight to it. We'll take you to Future View here at 9 o'clock tonight. Most of us still less than an inch of snow on the ground, as a lot of this will stay on the lighter side as we go into early tonight. Here we are at midnight. Probably at that point 1 to 3 inches of snow. But after that, the snow really starts to pick up in intensity overnight and into Sunday morning. So I think by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, most of us 4 to 6 inches on the ground. By 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, probably about 6 to 8 inches on the ground. And the snow really not going to lighten up until late tomorrow afternoon into the evening. And at that point, the damage is done. We are thinking 8 to 12 inches for most of the tri-state. And of course, that is going to have big impacts on travel. Tonight, though, you can still get to where you need to go if you do so slowly. But our bigger impacts for travel are going to be Sunday morning and throughout the afternoon. And even into Monday morning, the snow comes to an end, but the travel impacts will still be there. We're going to time it out for you and talk total and more details and other ways and impacts coming up here in just a bit.
All right, thanks, guys. Now, here in the tri-state, crews are working around the clock to keep roads clear and safe. And we have team coverage tonight. Connor Steffen is in Cincinnati. But we'll start with our Jay Shakur, who is in live drive out in Carrollton, Kentucky. Jay, what are you seeing out there right now?
Valerie, I'm currently seeing some streets with a thin blanket of snow. I'll turn the camera around so you can see what we're seeing here. Not a lot of activity right now here in Carrollton. The main roads have clearly been salted. I do notice as we're driving the side roads, not so much, as crews are focusing in on those main points of travel first. But I have seen a couple of Carrollton snow plows out already. Now, as it concerns state routes, KYTC tells us they have pre-treated the roads. Their big push was to do much of that this morning. KYTC also has worked with certain localities to provide salt in places like Covington and Newport. We're told there will be more than 130 snow plows from KYTC out working during this storm, with crews working in 12-hour shifts to get the roads cleared in this 11-county KYTC district.
The roads are going to be passable, not perfect. So if you have to be out there, understand that the roads might be slick, they might be snow covered.
If you can't find a lane that's been plowed, try and drive in the tire tracks of other vehicles that have gone in front of you. Again, maintaining that extra space.
Now, for drivers, roads will be difficult and at times impassable, so officials are urging everyone to stay off the roads, particularly going into tomorrow when we will possibly see nonstop snow for several hours. We'll be tracking the conditions here in northern Kentucky all evening and bring the latest on air and online. In Carrollton, Kentucky, Jay Shakur, WCPO 9 News.
All right, thanks, Jay. Now turning back to Ohio, ODOT road crews are getting in place, preparing for the snow. WCPO 9 News reporter Connor Steffen joins us live with what those plans look like. Connor?
Valerie, right now more than 140 drivers are waiting for the snow to continue to fall, just as we are. But I want to start here in Cincinnati. We're on Reading Road. I want you to take a look. You should see to the right of your screen a tow truck and a police car. That is tied to something that our newsroom has noticed throughout the day, which is cars being towed left and right. We believe it's because of the city's snow emergency designation. Anyone parked on city streets right now considered to be snow emergency routes will be towed or fined. That includes this stretch of Reading Road. We can also see that most streets have been pre-treated already. That's because Cincinnati's snowplow tracker system is live right now. Crews have been out since Monday preparing roads. We know 65 city drivers will be out clearing city streets as snow continues to fall. As for the Ohio Department of Transportation, around 30 plow trucks will be out in Hamilton County, 143 across our entire ODOT district. We spoke with Public Information Officer Kathleen Fuller just hours ago. She said drivers are on standby, with many of them getting into position near their routes right now. But no matter the resources on hand, if the forecast holds true, Fuller says that this will be a difficult cleanup.
Not only will the cleanup be very, very difficult, it's going to take us a long time. So I want people to understand that come Monday morning, Snow may be over, but don't expect clear pavement. And again, I'm not even sure what time the snow is going to end at this point. I keep seeing a different forecast. It has changed a lot over the last 24 to 48 hours.
The key limiting factor here with the cleanup will be those low temperatures, Fuller said. Some MoDOT crews are laying down pre-wetted salt right now on bridges, overpasses, and ramps. They mix salt with the materials that have lower freezing points to help combat the cold. Now, just like the city of Cincinnati, ODOT has a priority system during weather events like this. So for the city of Cincinnati, once that snow falls, they're going to focus on priority 1 routes as well as main roads and emergency corridors. As for ODOT, they start with interstates as well as some federal and state routes. All of that to say, these residential streets, we will not see them being cleared when the snow starts to fall. Just keep that in mind. Those side streets and residential streets are not the priority heading into tonight and tomorrow. For now, we're live in Cincinnati. Connor Steffen, WCPO 9 News.
All right, thanks, Connor. Now, several counties and cities in our region have declared snow emergencies. Most are under a level 1 status, which, as you heard Connor mention, means cars must be moved off public streets to allow plow trucks to get through. Now, we're seeing those designations in the city of Cincinnati, Reading, Mount Healthy, Springdale, just to name a few. All of those have snow emergencies in effect right now. Blue ash will begin at 9 o'clock. In Kentucky, Boone, Campbell, Kenton, Gallatin, and Grant counties are all under level 1 snow emergencies. And in Indiana, Ohio, Switzerland, and Dearborn counties also under snow emergency status. Now, we'll be keeping you updated every step of the way as this storm continues, both on air and online. Scan the QR code on your screen to find 24/7 updates on the weather conditions and traffic. You can also get the free WCPO 9 News app. Coming up at 6, more unrest in Minneapolis after ICE agents shoot and kill another person. We break down what we know about this developing situation so far.
You're watching WCPO 9, part of the Scripps News Group.
All right, thanks for sticking with us. We are taking a live look outside right now. You can see things are pretty calm, but we know that snow has already started across our region. That snow is picking up. This is the start of a long weekend of winter weather, folks, and we will check back in with the 9 First Warning weather team in just a few minutes for the latest. But to this, an urgent investigation is underway after a man was shot and killed during a confrontation with federal agents in Minneapolis. Hours later, there's now growing debate over the moments leading up to the incident. ABC's Chuck Siverston has the details, but be warned, some of this video is graphic.
Video of a fatal shooting by a federal Border Patrol officer in Minneapolis Saturday morning is getting reviewed. Officers were preparing to confront another man who they say is in the U.S. illegally, says Border Patrol Commander-at-Large Greg Bovino.
During this operation, an individual approached U.S. Border Patrol agents with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun.
Then,
the agents attempted to disarm the individual, but he violently resisted. Fearing for his life and the lives and safety of fellow officers, a Border Patrol agent fired defensive shots.
The Minneapolis police chief says the man was white, 37, a legal gun owner with a permit to carry, and an American citizen with no criminal record. Minneapolis police say they don't have details of what happened leading up to the shooting.
We urge everyone to remain peaceful. We recognize that there is a lot of anger and a lot of questions around what has happened, but we need people to remain peaceful.
President Trump is defending the shooting. Chuck Severson, ABC News, New York.
The flakes have started to fly across the tri-state. Coming up, we have team coverage on this winter storm with totals, timing, and impacts in just a minute.
All right, Tri-State, the winter storm is here. Snow has fallen. We are in for a busy weekend ahead. Let's hand things over to Steve with a fuller look at what we can expect.
Yeah, thanks, Val. We tag teaming it tonight because things are going to get busy later tonight. But right now, very quiet really around the tri-state. We're just seeing some flurries. No problem if you do have to go out. 13 degrees feels like 0, though, outside at the moment. As we look at things on the radar, you see that we've got these light flurries going around the area. Up by Connorsville, though, in Butler County, down through Franklin County in southeast Indiana, there's a little bit more than flurries going on. Probably some light snow. The next step up, so to speak. You know, over the last hour, there's a 1/10, quarter of an inch. So we're seeing a little bit of coverage probably in some grassy areas right now. That is going to pick up. And with your forecast, meteorologist Mark Stitz.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. Let's go straight to Future View and time this out for you. First up, 9 o'clock tonight. Notice the radar begins to fill in a little bit more, but a lot of the snow probably still on the lighter side. Now, after midnight tonight, I do think we'll start to see some heavier pockets of snow mixing in, at least on and off. And that's some of that darker blue you see on Future View heading into Sunday morning. Also notice those temperatures in the teens. So what falls will be sticking to the ground. But I want to point out farther south and east. See some of that pink down there by the 9 logo? That could be a little bit of wintry mix. Some of it's sleet, maybe even a couple pockets of freezing rain. Now, I do think that's going to stay south and east of greater Cincinnati, but just know if you are in some of those areas farther south and east, especially down towards Maysville, maybe even as far northwest as areas like Georgetown, you could see both Sunday morning and afternoon a little bit of sleet or freezing rain mix in with your snow. If you do, that is going to pull down your final snow totals by probably an inch or two at least, depending how long it lasts. So watch for some icy spots if you do see that transition. But at lunchtime, you can see most of us snow and still heavy at times. As we go through the afternoon, steady snow will continue, sometimes light to moderate, some heavy pockets still mixed in. By late afternoon, temperatures in the 20s, and at that point, I think we start to see the snow just begin to break apart, lighten up in areas, and pretty quickly, by 7, 8 o'clock, the snow, at least the bulk of it, will be coming to an end. So again, let's revisit snow totals with timing. By midnight tonight, 1 to 3 inches. By Sunday morning, 4 to 6 inches will be common. By 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, 6 to 8 inches. And there's that final range of 8 to 12 inches for most of us. Again, the exception would be if you do see some of that sleet or freezing rain farther south and east of greater Cincinnati, that will lower your snow totals. So let's talk impacts. Of course, the biggest thing for most of us, snow-covered roads, we're talking impassable at times. And with this much snow, this will not be where road crews can fix it all by Sunday evening. This will take through Monday at least for road crews to clean up. Power outages will be possible, especially if we have a little bit of that freezing rain farther south and east. So better safe than sorry. Have your smart devices charged up just in case. And of course, again, some black ice will be possible if we do see the freezing rain in some of those neighborhoods. So as far as travel, again, tonight you can get to where you need to go if you need to. But Sunday, throughout the entire day, we're talking extreme impact to travel. It's best not to do anything unless you absolutely have to. And still by Monday morning, still expecting high travel impact. So parents be thinking, what am I doing with the kiddos if they're home with me on Monday? And I wouldn't be surprised if they are. Now, once we get past the snow, it's going to be with us at least for a week or so as we are locked into Arctic cold air. So where you see that purple, look how far south this is stretching, all the way towards the Gulf of Mexico. There's Tuesday, still Arctic air. Wednesday, still Arctic air, and it stays with us on Thursday. Remember last week, at least at times, that we would get shoved to the north, we'd get a warm day mixed in. Not this time. We'll be with it all week long, giving us very dangerous cold. So overnight tonight, dropping down to 12 degrees. Tomorrow afternoon, 20 for a high. And then Monday, we start at 4, only near 12 for the afternoon. And your super 9-day forecast showing those wind chills for Monday. We start around -5 to -10. Wind chill never gets above 0 Monday afternoon. Tuesday and Wednesday, temperatures below 0 in the morning, teens for a high Wednesday and Thursday, and we are stuck with the 20s through early next week. Steve?
Yeah, Mark, boy, another weather alert day for Monday because of that wicked cold. Put a cherry on the parfait here. You'll notice we could very well rewrite the record books when we see that 8 to 12 as we get into late tomorrow. The top is almost 13 inches. Seems a little out of reach, but not out of the question. All right, time for sports. Let's swing it over to Marshall Kramsky for the latest. You got some big news, huh?
Yeah, something like that. But let's talk about the special one at the Cintas Center. Arguably the most anticipated Big East game of the season took place. The jersey said St. John's and Xavier, but all anyone could talk about, the coaching matchup, father versus son, conference play, Rick Pitino, Richard Pitino. Besides a conference game on the line, 73-year-old Rick Pitino coaching for his 900th career win against his son. Rick Pitino said if St. John's lost at Xavier, he'd leave his team in Cincinnati. The Muskies were ready to provide Airbnb options early. 10 minutes into the game, Xavier in transition, Trey Carroll, Borovicinin dive. Watch him here. Dish. Roddy Anderson from nowhere recovers save. Yes, hustle and heart gives X a 5-point lead. Final minute, St. John's up 5. Trey Carroll, the heart of this team. He's been working. Watch him go, the big man. Over a big man, a prayer, count it. 3 of Carroll's team-high 31 points makes it a 1-possession game. Next Xavier possession. Muskie's down a bucket. Bervichinen, count it. And the foul. Xavier takes a 1-point lead on the 3-point play. Unfortunately, X fans, Papa Patino had a closer on the floor. His name is Dylan Darling, and he caused all sorts of problems, including that dagger down the stretch for St. John's. St. John's pulls away with free throws in the final minute. Father beats son. Heard that story before. St. John's defeats Xavier 88-83. Rick Pitino earns his 900th career victory. Number 900 comes against his own son, and for the first time in a Big East game. Xavier head coach Richard Pitino spoke about his dad following the tough loss.
I'm happy for him that he won 900. I think he's the best coach to ever coach college basketball. He'd have a lot more if he had stayed at Kentucky. But, you know, when your dad is 73, you just want him to be happy and healthy. You know, we all are reminded way too much of how short life is. So to see him doing great, coaching, you know, being celebrated at St. John's, like that's all I care about. He's a phenomenal coach, but I'm really, really lucky to have him as a father.
I think that's the nicest I ever heard a head coach after a tough loss. Rick Pitino won 219 of his 900 wins at Kentucky and another 416 wins at Louisville. Big news for one of the Bengals' biggest rivals. Just last week, the Pittsburgh Steelers announced Mike Tomlin would no longer be the team's head coach. Today, the team has announced that they have hired veteran head coach, Super Bowl champion Mike McCarthy. McCarthy is from Pittsburgh and most recently coached the Dallas Cowboys before being let go last January. All right, it's going to be a cold one tonight. You're looking for something to do. The Cincinnati Bearcats taking on Arizona State in somewhere outside of Phoenix. I'm blanking right now. Tempe? Yeah, Tempe. All right, that's it for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
All right, before we go, let's check this out. The Cincinnati Zoo is celebrating a big birthday. Fiona the Hippo is turning 9 years old. And today, the zoo shared this video of her enjoying a special birthday cake made of melons, her favorite. Fiona was born 6 weeks premature back in 2017, and she wasn't expected to survive. But of course, she quickly became a national sensation after beating the odds. We love Fiona. I know that I love Fiona. So very happy birthday to her. Let's get one last check of your weekend forecast.
Yeah, we're just seeing some of the light snow hit around the tri-state right now, Valerie. You'll notice that we have temperatures in the teens, but it feels below 0 or about 1 or 2. As we look at things, how about taking you out to NKU and Highland Heights? There's some snow on the ground out there, and we're starting to see just a dusting around the tri-state at the moment, but it's not impeding traffic or having any problems. Here's a quick update with the forecast tomorrow. Apparently, I'll do the quick update as it turns out. So for tonight, we're not going to see much fall. Probably by about midnight, we're looking at 2 or 3 inches of snow, and that would be about it. Now, the big thing is going to happen overnight. We're going to end up seeing some substantial snow start developing in the overnight. We could end up seeing probably a ½ an inch to an inch an hour, and that's why by the time you wake up in the morning, it's going to be a different look than what we're seeing in perhaps our Versailles camera camera. There's a bit of a dusting that's showing up out there by the folks at the Ripley County Welcome Center, but we're going to continue to see that snow around here and, of course, the big cold air. I mentioned the fact it's in the teens. There's verification for you officially in Cincinnati, and it feels like 1 below, because after all this snow hits our 8 to 12 by tomorrow, it's not going anywhere because of how cold it's going to be. We're going to see wind chills down to 10 to 20 below this week. Valerie, it's going to be ugly.
All right, it's going to be a cold one. Just brace yourselves, Tri-State. Thanks for joining us. That's it for 6 on this Saturday. We'll see you later here at 11.